Level 1, the recruit. You are 22 years old and you are standing at attention in a line of 43 other people who all want the same thing you want. The academy instructor walks the line slowly. He is not looking for physical perfection. He is looking for something harder to define and easier to see when it isn't there. He stops in front of you for 2 seconds longer than he stops in front of anyone else. You don't know if that is good or bad. You decide it doesn't matter. You are here and you are going to finish. The academy is 6 months of the most demanding thing you have ever done. Not physically, though the physical part is real. Mentally. You are learning a new language, use of force, constitutional law, de-escalation, report writing, criminal procedure, evidence collection. Every day there is more, and every day you have to absorb it and retain it and demonstrate that you retained it under conditions designed to simulate stress, because the job will require you to remember things correctly under conditions that are actually stressful. The simulation is never quite the same as the real thing. You will learn this later. For now, you absorb everything you can. You graduate on a Friday morning. You raise your right hand. You take an oath that has been taken by people in this room for longer than anyone currently living can remember. Someone pins a badge to your chest, and the weight of it is real and specific, and unlike anything you expected. You are a police officer. You don't fully understand yet what that means. You are about to find out. Level 2, the rookie. Your first night on patrol, you ride with a field training officer named Garcia, who has been doing this for 17 years. She does not talk much in the car. She watches everything. She notices things you don't notice yet, and when you ask her how she knew, she says you'll see it eventually. You don't understand that yet either. Eventually you will. Your first call is a domestic disturbance on the east side. You pull up, and there are two people who have been hurting each other for what looks like a long time, and your training tells you the steps to take, and you take them, and it goes approximately the way it is supposed to go. Afterward in the car, Garcia says you did okay. That is the highest praise you will receive from her for 3 months, and you will learn to understand that it means something real. You learn things in the first year that the academy could not teach you. You learn how to read a street, which corners have weight and which ones are empty. You learn how people stand when they are thinking about running and how they stand when they have already decided to. You learn what a house smells like when something has been wrong inside it for a long time. You develop a kind of peripheral attention that you cannot fully explain to people who don't do this work. You are always slightly aware of everything around you. You stop sitting with your back to doors. You stop going places without knowing where the exits are. These are not choices. They are things that happen to you over time and that do not unhappen when you go home. The work is heavy in ways you expected and heavy in ways you did not. The calls that stay with you are not always the dramatic ones. Sometimes it is a small apartment and an old man who has been alone for 4 days and nobody knew. Sometimes it is a child. You carry these things. You learn to carry them because you have to and because the only alternative is to stop doing the job, and you are not ready to stop doing the job. Level 3, the officer. 3 years in, you know your district the way you know your own neighborhood. You know the regulars. You know the people who are going to call you and the people who never will and why. You know which businesses leave their lights on all night and which ones lock up at 9, and who is usually standing where and what it means when something is different from usual. You have also learned something about the gap between what the job is supposed to be and what it actually is. The paperwork is real and it is substantial, and it takes time that could be spent on other things. The system moves at a pace that bears almost no relationship to the pace of what happens on the street. You make an arrest and the case takes 2 years, and the outcome is not always the one that made sense to you at the arrest. And you learn to hold this without letting it hollow you out. Some officers don't learn this. You watch what happens to the ones who don't. You have also learned something about trust, from both sides of it. The people in your district who trust you specifically, not the badge, you, because you have shown up consistently and done what you said you would do. And the people who will never trust you regardless of what you do because of what happened before you got there and what will happen after. You hold both of these things. You try to deserve the first one. You try to understand the second one. This takes more out of you than any call you have ever been on. Level 4, the detective. You make detective at 6 years. The work is different in ways that are both better and harder. No more patrol. No more responding to calls as they come. Now you work cases. You follow threads. You build things over weeks and months that either hold up or fall apart, and the difference between those two outcomes often comes down to details that seem small at the time and turned out to be the whole thing. You are good at this. You knew you would be before you made the transfer, because the thing that makes someone good at detective work is the same thing that made you stop with your back to walls on your first patrol: the attention, the pattern recognition, the ability to hold a large amount of information in a structure that makes sense, and to notice when one piece doesn't fit the structure. Your first major case takes 11 months. You build it carefully, you document everything, you check and recheck. You lose 2 months when a witness changes their account, and you have to go back and find another way to support what you know happened. You find it. The case goes to trial. The jury convicts. You sit in the courthouse hallway afterward for a while and you think about the 11 months. The small apartment you stood in at the beginning, the family, what 11 months meant to them while you were building the case. You go back to the office. There is another case on your desk. There is always another case on your desk. Level 5, the sergeant. You are 31. You have passed the exam and done the interviews, and you are a sergeant. You have a team of 8 officers. Their problems are your problems. Their decisions reflect back on you. Their growth or the absence of it is something you are responsible for in a way that you were not responsible for anything before this. You are no longer doing the job. You are managing the people who do the job. This is a different skill set, and nobody fully prepares you for the distance between knowing how to do something and knowing how to teach someone else to do it, and correct them when they do it wrong, and support them when the job takes the specific toll that this job takes. You learn by doing it, and you make mistakes, and the mistakes have consequences for real people, and you carry those too. You have a young officer on your team who reminds you of yourself at 2 years in, the hunger, the attention, the willingness to stay late and learn. You invest in this officer the way Garcia invested in you without ever making it obvious that that was what she was doing. You show up. You tell them what they need to hear rather than what they want to hear. You trust them with things before they think they're ready because that is the only way anyone ever gets ready. You also have an officer on your team who is struggling in ways that are visible to you and invisible to him. The weight accumulating, the small signs, you address it directly because you have seen where it goes when nobody addresses it, and you are not going to let it go there on your watch. He pushes back. Eventually, he listens. A year later, he thanks you in a way that tells you he means it. Level 6, the lieutenant. You are 37. The view from this level is different from any level below it. You are managing sergeants who manage officers. You are in rooms where decisions get made that affect the whole department. You are between the street and the administration in a way that requires you to speak 2 languages simultaneously and to translate between them without losing the truth of either one. The politics at this level are real, not corrupt politics, department politics, who gets resources, which programs get funded, which priorities get set, and why and whose interests those priorities serve. You navigate this without losing the thing that made you good at the job in the first place. This is harder than it sounds. You watch people at this level who have lost that thing, and you understand how it happened, and you make a decision every day not to let it happen to you. You also carry something that you did not fully anticipate at this level. The weight of the officers who have been hurt, not just physically, the ones who came to this job for the right reasons, and who are being ground down by the accumulation of what the job asks of them. You know these people. You know their names. You fight for the resources that might help them. You don't win every time. You fight anyway. Level 7, the captain. You are 44. You command a precinct. Everything that happens in your precinct is your responsibility. Not in the abstract way that responsibility gets talked about. In the specific way where if something goes wrong, you are the person who has to stand in front of a room and account for it. You have done this. You will do it again. You think sometimes about the Friday morning when someone pinned the badge to your chest and the weight of it surprised you. You understand the weight now in a way you could not have then. It is the weight of every person in your precinct and every person in your community, and every decision made under pressure with incomplete information and the consequences of those decisions that travel forward in ways that cannot be predicted or fully controlled. You still believe in the job, not blindly. You have seen enough to have no illusions about the institution or the people in it, including yourself. But you believe in what the job is supposed to be, the version of it that exists in the oath you took at 22, the version that shows up when someone calls and a person comes. You have spent 22 years trying to be that version of the job and trying to build an organization that produces more people who are that version. You have not always succeeded. You have never stopped trying. Somewhere right now, a 22-year-old is standing at attention in a line of people who all want the same thing. An instructor is walking the line. The 22-year-old does not know yet what the weight of the badge will feel like. They do not know what they will carry and what it will cost and what it will mean at the end of a shift when they drive home and have to find a way to leave enough of it in the car that they can walk through their front door and be present for the people on the other side of it. They will learn. It takes time and it takes something out of you and it gives something back that has no name in any language. And most of the people who do this job keep showing up anyway. That has always been the thing. That will always be the thing.